sinking capsized in the heart of a North Atlantic storm, with 84 souls trapped inside. A multi-million-dollar oil drilling platform becomes the site of one of the deadliest maritime disasters in offshore history. What began as a routine night shift on February 14th, 1982, ended in a pure nightmare in the Grand Banks of Newfoundland, Canada. At its launch in 1976, the Ocean Ranger was the largest and most advanced semi-submersible drilling rig in the world. Standing 103 meters tall, this Titan was claimed to be capable of withstanding any extreme weather conditions the ferocious North Atlantic could throw at it. They called it Unsinkable. To achieve stability in turbulent seas, the rig relied on a computerized ballast system that managed thousands of tons of water within its underwater pontoons. But despite being engineered by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries to the highest Japanese standards, nothing could prepare the Ocean Ranger for what would unfold that Valentine's night. A routine oil exploration mission was about to become a steel graveyard on the ocean floor. The Ocean Ranger was built with the confidence of 1970s technology. The bigger, the more advanced, the safer. Even more impressive, the 25,000-ton platform was designed for unrestricted ocean operations, capable of enduring 100-knot winds and 34-meter waves. This allowed for drilling operations at depths of 460 meters, far beyond the capabilities of conventional rigs of that era. In every operational aspect, the Ocean Ranger depended on one critical system: the automated ballast control that regulated the platform's stability. This system was operated from a small room called the Ballast Control Room, located in the starboard column just 28 feet above the sea surface. Unfortunately, it was within this room that the rig's fatal vulnerability was hidden: an electronic control panel that operated pneumatic valves throughout the ballast system. Because of its complexity, operators interacted with the system through a mimic panel, a large console featuring indicator lights and switches to open or close valves. However, for a reason that would soon prove fatal, this control room was equipped with a circular window, a port light, allowing operators to see the sea conditions outside, a glass window in the middle of the churning North Atlantic. On the morning of February 14th, 1982, a low-pressure system rapidly intensified offshore, a meteorological phenomenon known as a weather bomb. The collision of cold Arctic air with the warm waters of the Gulf Stream created explosive atmospheric instability. On the Ocean Ranger, the crew received a forecast predicting 90-knot winds and 37-foot waves. It was a severe storm, but theoretically still within the rig's operational design limits. Perhaps due to their faith in the platform's strength, the crew decided to remain on site and ride out the storm. Following standard procedure, they halted active drilling, disconnecting the drill pipe from the wellhead and partially retracting it. The Ocean Ranger was now held in place by 12 massive anchors, each weighing 20,000 kilograms, facing a storm that would soon exceed all predictions. As the storm's intensity spiked throughout the afternoon, waves began slamming into the rig's structure with terrifying force. The problem wasn't just wave height, but wave run-up, a phenomenon where water rises significantly higher as it strikes the platform's vertical columns. Water that was never supposed to reach 28 feet above sea level was now slapping against structures usually considered safe, including the glass window of the ballast control room. At approximately 7:45 p.m., a massive wave struck the starboard column with brutal force. The port light in the ballast control room shattered. Chilling Atlantic seawater surged into the room, drenching the electronic control panel. The operator on duty reported via internal radio that a window broke, but claimed the situation was under control. They had cleared the water and broken glass from the room. But this report dangerously underestimated the hazard developing inside that seemingly dry control panel. Seawater is an excellent conductor of electricity due to its salt content. Although the surface of the panel had been wiped down, water had seeped into the circuitry behind the buttons and switches, creating invisible conductive bridges. Within minutes, corrosion and salt deposits began connecting terminals that were meant to remain separate. The system began to act as if possessed. Valves began receiving false signals to open without any command from the operator. This phenomenon, later known as phantom switching, saw solenoids activating at random. Even worse, the indicator lights on the mimic panel began flickering erratically or shorting out completely. The operators were suddenly blind. They had no visual way to know which valves were open, which were closed, or which tanks were flooding. Around 9 p.m., the rig began to develop an abnormal tilt, a list of about 10 degrees forward and slightly to the left. The crew on the bridge realized something was catastrophically wrong with their ballast system. In the ballast control room, panicked operators, facing an unresponsive panel and declining stability, decided to take manual control. They used the tools available in the room, brass rods that were actually intended for maintenance. These rods were designed to be inserted into the solenoid valves to force the valves to function, bypassing the electrical system during repairs. But in the midst of a raging storm, with a listing rig and immense time pressure, the crew made a fatal error. Lacking a deep understanding of the complex ballast system logic, they inserted brass rods into 18 different solenoid valves in a desperate attempt to regain stability. But instead of closing the valves that were leaking water into the forward tanks, their actions locked those valves in the open position. Seawater was now free-flowing into the bow ballast tanks at a rate of thousands of gallons per minute. The more water entered, the heavier the front of the rig became, and the steeper the list grew. This was a classic case of cognitive error under extreme stress. A trained crew, used to operating a normal system, was now facing a failure mode they had never studied or simulated. Every attempt they made to fix the situation only accelerated the disaster. Shortly after midnight, the Ocean Rangers list reached 15 degrees. Senior mobile oil managers on the rig radioed the standby vessel, Seaforth Highlander, requesting they close in immediately. The situation had become critical. At 1:09 a.m., an official mayday call was broadcast to all vessels in the Grand Banks. Inside the tilting rig, the crew struggled to reach lifeboat stations across slick, steep decks, lashed by waves and roaring winds. At 1:30 a.m., the final radio transmission was received from the Ocean Ranger. There will be no further radio communications. We are going to lifeboat stations. By this point, the 15-degree tilt had caused something far more fatal than ballast tank flooding, a phenomenon called down flooding. Openings on the deck where anchor chains entered the corner columns were not equipped with effective watertight covers because under normal conditions, they sat 80 feet above sea level. But with the extreme tilt, the corner deck was now submerged. Atlantic water began pouring into the chain lockers. There were no flood alarms in these compartments, no sensors, and no way for the crew to know that thousands of tons of water were now flooding vital spaces in the corner columns. The weight of the water in the chain lockers pulled the rig's bow even deeper. At 3:15 a.m. on February 15, 1982, the Ocean Ranger, the multi-million-dollar Unsinkable platform, capsized completely. As the storm continued to rage with 40-foot waves and 100-knot winds, the Seaforth Highlander searched for signs of life. At 2:21 a.m., the ship's crew spotted a red flare in the distance and found a lifeboat tossing in the violent surf. The lifeboat was severely damaged. Its bow was smashed, and the silhouettes of men could be seen inside, some desperately bailing water out. The captain of the Seaforth Highlander maneuvered toward the lifeboat in sea conditions that made precision navigation nearly impossible. The ship's crew managed to throw a lifeline to the lifeboat, and for a moment, there was hope. They would pull the lifeboat to the side of the hull and transfer the men aboard. The ship's first mate reported seeing the faces of the men in the lifeboat through night binoculars. Some were wearing only light work clothes without survival suits, looking frozen and terrified. Then, a rogue wave struck with cruel timing. The lifeline snapped. The lifeboat capsized instantly, spilling all its passengers into the near-freezing Atlantic waters. The crew of the Seaforth Highlander, themselves struggling on an open deck swept by waves without modern rescue equipment, could do nothing. They could only watch in horror as the men disappeared into the black swells. Without immersion suits, anti-hypothermia survival gear, the survival time in 0°C water is estimated to be less than 10 minutes before loss of consciousness. Another ship, the Nordertor, later found the same lifeboat floating upside down with bodies visible inside, but the sea conditions made recovery impossible. In the end, not a single one of the 84 crew members of the Ocean Ranger survived. The Ocean Ranger sank not just because of the storm, but because of a fatal convergence of overconfident design, vulnerable systems, and a crew unprepared for a failure mode they had never practiced. A glass window only a few millimeters thick became the point of failure that sank a multi-million-dollar platform and claimed 84 lives. To this day, the Ocean Ranger remains at the bottom of the Grand Banks, 80 meters beneath the surface of the cold North Atlantic. An overturned steel monument to technological ambition and the price paid when humanity forgets that the sea never forgives a mistake.